Hey, Retcon Raider here. I'm a little behind schedule again, but what else is new? As usual, I'm trying to play catch-up, so that means it's finally time to take an overdue look at how the channel did back in August. Honestly, a big part of the reason it took so long for me to put this retrospective together is because August was actually a pretty quiet month, relatively speaking anyway. We got a huge boost throughout June and July, but like I've said before, I knew it was only temporary. Hype doesn't last forever, and, well, August is proof of that. Let's go ahead and take a look at the analytics, and then I'll share my thoughts on them. First of all, we pulled about 950 new subscribers throughout August, with a net gain of just under 850 overall. We also received a total of roughly 150,000 views. That's certainly not bad, but it is about a 30% drop from the numbers that we saw in July. I'll admit, that's a little steeper than I was expecting. Still, I'm not really discouraged because not only was I already expecting this, but it also still puts us well above the numbers we were seeing before all this hype got started. It's actually a very similar pattern to what we've seen in the past, when the channel got shoutouts from other developers like Snapshot Games and In Exile Entertainment. It always leads to a massive short-term boost, followed by a slow drop-off that still leaves us well ahead of where we were before it all got started. To put it into better perspective, all we really have to do is look back to our numbers from earlier this year. For the first quarter of 2018, we averaged about 300 new subscribers and 50,000 views per month. And now, even though August marks the end of our latest growth spurt, it still had numbers that are over 3 times higher than where we used to be. Of course, that's not to say that I couldn't have done certain things better. As always, I'll be the first to admit that I still have a lot of room for improvement. While I'm generally happy with the quality of the videos I'm producing, I'm also constantly trying to find new ways to improve them. As with everything else, it's a work in progress. One thing I am disappointed with is my general lack of Kingmaker videos throughout August. Even though I knew it was my best performing series, I only ended up releasing 2 new episodes. What happened? Well, for one thing, the beta was updated twice throughout August, and both times it completely wiped my previous saves. I did manage to recover my saves the second time around, but it still ended up costing me several extra days worth of my fairly limited production time. Then there was the matter of the copyright claim on episode 13, which is actually the first time I've had a run-in with YouTube's automated copyright system. I'm still pretty new to YouTube, but I've been extremely careful when it comes to anything that might include copyrighted content, so I'll admit, this incident did catch me pretty off guard. Basically, it turns out that the vast majority of the music used in Kingmaker can appear in gameplay videos without a problem, but the title theme is copyrighted to Zur, the composer who actually wrote it. My original cut of episode 13 spent a little too long on the main title screen, which in turn ended up triggering YouTube's automated copyright system. It was certainly annoying at the time, but it was also a valuable learning experience, and it only ended up costing me about a day to get it resolved. Still, between that and the save file resets, you can probably see why I didn't get a chance to finish nearly as many Kingmaker videos as I would have liked to. Really, I'm just happy it was a copyright claim and not an actual copyright strike. It turns out that claims are relatively easy to deal with, but strikes will actually do long-term damage to your channel. So that was August. Like I said, pretty uneventful once you got past all the Kingmaker stuff. Oh, and the Phoenix Point development roadmap stuff too, but I've already talked about that in a separate video, so I won't repeat it here. Instead, let's talk about what I have planned for September. I know it is a bit silly at this point, given that we're already 3 weeks into the month, but bear with me. First of all, there's the obvious, Pathfinder Kingmaker, which finally comes out on September 25th. Now, I've had a lot of people asking me if I'm going to do a series on the full game, and the short answer is yes, absolutely. The slightly longer answer is that I've had a lot of fun with the beta, bugs and all, so I'll definitely be setting aside some time to start working my way through the full campaign. Of course, keep in mind, the developers estimate that the full campaign will take roughly 40 to 60 hours to beat, but given my love of dialogue and exploration, I think it's fair to say that my playthrough would take closer to 100 hours to finish. Assuming a 30 to 40 minute runtime per episode, that means a full playthrough would require something like a 150 episode commitment, which would take us well into next year. That's not to say I won't do it, but it will depend heavily on what the numbers look like. The short of it is, I can't actually guarantee that I'll play through the entire game, but hey, I'll certainly stick with it for as long as people seem to be enjoying it. That said, my current plan is to start completely from scratch. I've had a lot of fun playing with my monster tactician, but there's no denying, he's kind of a one-trick pony. Besides, I've already used him to play through the beta at least 3 or 4 times. I think I'm ready to try something new at this point. I recently spent some time exploring new character builds, and my current favorite is the Grenadier, one of the archetypes for the Alchemist class. I'm also leaning towards a neutral good playstyle, in part because I noticed there are a lot of locked quest options related to being neutral or good. For example, playing a neutral character allows you to potentially resolve certain conflicts without having to pick sides first, and playing a good character makes it a lot easier to recruit new allies. One of the most unusual aspects about Kingmaker is your ability to build a kingdom from the ground up, so I'd really like to see what kind of long-term consequences come from a few of the more unusual alliances. Then again, I certainly haven't ruled out other character builds or playstyles. If you've got something you'd like to see in my upcoming playthrough, then feel free to let me know in the comments below. I'll certainly take it under consideration. Aside from that, I'll also be continuing my various other series that are already in progress. Our Battle Brothers campaign is still hovering right on the cusp of completion, and we're making steady progress through Battletech, Darkest Dungeon, and Phantom Doctrine. While I'm not releasing new episodes nearly as frequently as I'd like, I still try to make time for them whenever possible. Likewise, I'll also try to find some time to get back into the lore videos for games like Phoenix Point and Fallout Van Buren. I actually really enjoy making those videos, I just tend to put them off because it takes me a solid 3 or 4 days worth of work to put one together, which ends up throwing the rest of my production schedule completely out of whack. Still, I'll keep plugging away at them in my spare time. At the very least, I would like to see if I can catch up with the latest briefing before Backer Build 3 comes out in November. I'd also like to make some time for some of the other interesting new games that are coming out over the next few months. While there aren't any big releases until November, games like Deaths of Extinction, Jagged Alliance Rage, and Sigma Theory all look like they could be pretty promising, but I won't know for sure until I can actually get my hands on them. And, as usual, I'm certainly open to suggestions when it comes to games that you think I might be interested in. You should have a pretty good idea of what kind of games I like to play at this point, so feel free to let me know if you see something you think I might enjoy. At any rate, I've been rambling on for about 10 minutes now, and I've got other video projects waiting for me, so let's start wrapping things up. I'd like to thank all of you for everything you've done to help support the channel, whether it's by watching ads, commenting on videos, or even recommending them to your friends. It might not seem like much to you, but all of that adds up to some pretty impressive numbers. I'd also like to give special thanks to my patrons from August. I've said it before, and I'll certainly say it again. I literally wouldn't be able to keep making these videos if it wasn't for their support. While I am starting to get a respectable amount of ad revenue from YouTube, it's nowhere near enough to actually cover the associated costs of running the channel, so those donations really help. That said, special thanks to my honorary raiders from August: Brad Quinn, Demetre Foster, James Trimmier, Mark Richards, MidnightSun, Kairon Xander, Purge, and Stjepan Lovasic. And extra special thanks to my veteran raiders from August: AdriRaven, Drakiith, Drunken Gunslinger, Forbidden One, Jonathan Tanner, Laura and Mike, Mildly Nuclear, Nazzul, Sir Skelibate, Takumson, and Woe77. Thanks a lot, guys. Oh, and special mention to my Raider Lords and Captains, Alluvian Estendradi, Rowan Church, and especially my tech guy, Revenant, who just had his first kid. Congratulations, Rev! If you'd like to help support the channel through PayPal or Patreon, be sure to check out the links in the description below. I know, I don't really offer much as a reward, not yet anyway, but patronage does come with some benefits, such as a warm fuzzy feeling deep in your self-satisfaction gland. It also comes with more advantageous placement on my various waiting lists, and I do love giving shoutouts in my various videos. It's the least I can do. And hey, even if you can't or just don't want to support the channel that way, that's fine too. As long as you're still watching and hopefully enjoying the videos, that's good enough for me. This is Retcon Raider, signing off. Thanks for listening. Oh, and remember, if you need to contact me for any reason, you can do it through the comments section on any of my videos, or you can reach me through my Facebook page, my Patreon account, or my official email address. As always, links are in the description.